Speaking of arcs of redemption, Willie Collum as head of referees.
I think it's an appalling move, right? And I'll tell you why. Not because of Willie Collum, not because Willie Collum's in his 40s, he's been refereeing since he was an embryo. So he's a FIFA referee. FIFA will tell you he's the most senior referee in Scotland, blah, 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 blah. The big problem of it is, this was an opportunity for Scottish refereeing, not just through VAR, but for a long time has been in a poor place. It's been in a poor place where we haven't had top referees coming through. That's not a subjective view, that's a view that will be held by UEFA and FIFA, who don't appoint Scottish referees to big games. So we're in a dearth. So we've got to say to ourselves, why is this the case? Why has this been the case for the last 10, maybe more years? And people say, oh, well, if the league's poor, why should referees be poor? The Slovenian League will not be great, and they've got referees going. The Polish League will not be the top league. The guy did the World Cup final. So what we really needed, I think, was a complete reset. And I think we needed a reset to bring in a reset. As a guy coming in from the outside, Hannes Begordonenson from Tromsø coming in and saying, well, I've got 3 referees.
Who did he go to?
Exactly. See, I've had, I got our refereeing in Norway, I got 3 referees into blah, 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 FIFA elite list and all this. And this is how we train our referees, and this is how we do it, and we need to do that. Instead, it reeks very strongly of the bowling club, doesn't it?
It feels quite stale. It just feels
the way that giving it to Crawford Allen felt the same way.
Would you go on with that, Michael? Or?
It's a difficult one, because if you bring in somebody from the outside, you're basically admitting the whole thing doesn't work and need somebody to help.
It doesn't.
That's an awkward admission for them to make.
But I think that would be reflective in the fact that we've not had any referees, not just like the Euros coming up or not in Champions League, but if you go all the way back, there's not been anyone represented at a major tournament or in major competition for a long time.
Is it a sign of a major problem, systemic, or is it a bad crop and we're waiting for the next wave of top class referees to come through?
The problem is though that
like players.
The crop lasts a long time, it's generational. It's not like you have a turnover that comes frequently.
What is Willie Collum going to be able to do? I mean, apart from sitting on the phone on Monday morning getting battered by managers unhappy at the weekend, I mean, is he going to set up some sort of refereeing school of excellence and getting the kids in at 13, 14, get them trained up to become elite crack referees that are going to manage at top level? I don't know. I mean, it's like you look at what the SFA have done with the coaching courses at Largs and created all these world class managers across the globe flocking to do these courses. We need to get that, but for referees, there has to be some sort of setup that can produce good referees. I don't know how they go about that.
Well, I think the system's got to change. I mean, if you look at the supervising system, the guys that go along and mark referees and all that, I'm not saying it's a case, but it is all ex-referees. And
it feels quite insular in terms of the community.
Where you say, I mean, here's the question. Why has Slovenia, I really mean this, why has Slovenia got good referees? That would be my first question. If somebody said to me, you're now head of referees in Scotland, I'd be saying, right, I'm going to go to Slovenia. How have they got good referees? I mean, what does FIFA see in them that it doesn't see in our referees?
Are we too parochial that we get?
Or are we not training in the proper way? Because everybody.
That's what I'm saying. It means some sort of.
Because if you watch, I'm blessed that I travel the world watching football. And if I was at Napoli, Juventus and things like that, and the refereeing was just like, and it wasn't the guy who was doing the Napoli Juventus game wasn't the top referee. He was a good referee in Italy, but he wouldn't be in the top 3. Just the way the game was refereed. I'm not saying he got every decision right, but there was a kind of certainty about the way the refereeing worked. There was a certainty about the VAR. VAR was quicker. There was a huge decision in the game, a penalty right at the end. And it was just, everyone was slicker. Everyone was, you can imagine the pressure, Napoli v Juventus. And you say, well, I couldn't really imagine that happening here.
Would better communication be a start?
I think so, yeah. unfortunately, in our country, when they do try and communicate things, it seems to just make things worse.
I know.
Lost in translation.
It's almost like handing shovels to guys in holes. I mean, it's like it seems to get worse when we start trying to communicate. I just don't know. I don't understand quite why it's not. I mean, I sometimes think, is it because we're putting so much scrutiny and so much pressure on officials, and that's why it's maybe perception is it's not great. But then, like Hugh's saying, they're not going to the Euros, they're not going to World Cups, they're not in Champions League finals. So obviously, it's not just us.
Yeah.
It's been outside.
People outside don't
Are seeing something that's not quite there. So and I can't understand why, because officials in this country are very well paid. So I mean, it's a good gig.
can't believe it.
I mean,
Especially for a second job.
But for a first job, people go, oh, she's full-time referees. The referee's salary is a good full-time wage for most of us in this
And
country.
if they get a European game during the week, it's thousands.
Honestly, so it's a good gig to get to that point. I know, but that's why I think we should have better officials, because it's a hard school in Scotland. I mean, if you need to go through junior football and all that stuff, and you go up through the lower leagues and you get to that point, you've dealt with a lot. I mean, even back, remember the days, young referees when I played, we guys who were on that path. I mean, guys like Willie might have been at that time, because we're similar kind of eras. I mean, even Saturday morning football and all that stuff. I remember a guy pulled up a red card and a guy basically punched through the card to get to him. I mean, these guys have a tough school to get to that point. So a lot of respect for them to get to that stage. Parents abuse them on the sidelines, you name it. So what I can't get is how they get to that point, deal with all that, and they're still not doing great. There's a disconnect somewhere along the line. I just
think
don't
there's an
understand
argument for full-time referees. I think it would improve.
What do they do all day?